We're here. We have made it. Welcome to the final match of Valhalla Seattle. This is going to be a great match. Phil the King Keffer has fought his way back to the finals. He is looking to try to win a third tournament in a row. Phil Miller has won the last three Valhallas. He is looking to try to win a fourth Valhalla in a row. So far, no one other than Phil Miller has ever won a Valhalla. We have only been running this event for 4 years. This is our last Valhalla this is the first Valhalla that we're doing on the West Coast, our first West Coast event. One final shout out to our host, Zulu Board Game Cafe. If you guys are in the Seattle area, please go check that place out. They have multiple stores. The one we were in was gorgeous. It had a great play space, super friendly staff that was fun to chat with. They had a second building just down the block for some more play where they had a full menu. They served drinks. It had a very kind of Lord of the Rings pub feel to it. I loved it. It was a very great experience. Thanks again to our host, Doug Taylor and Larry Van Etten for putting this together. And thank you. Big shout out to Howard Bertrand, who does a lot of work behind the scenes in the North American OverPower League. Put in the registrations, pre-registered everybody, helped us facilitate this tournament, even though he couldn't attend. And we actually got this tournament done faster than we'd ever got one done before, which was great. So, commentating the finals, being with me this whole tournament, it has been really fun doing this with you. Dave McMillan, how are you doing?
Doing well.
Dave, are you excited for this finals?
Yeah, we have two of the best players playing each other. I think they're very familiar with each other and their general play styles. Both players don't make many mistakes. Big winners of a lot of tournaments, and we'll see whether Phil Miller's able to maintain his stranglehold on Valhalla, or does the King coast to a third championship in a row in the 2024 season.
It's gonna be both players really want those records both ways, so it's gonna be really interesting to see. So we've got Phil the King Keffer on the bottom, Phil the Strangler Miller on the top. Phil is still playing. He's playing this entire tournament, the Event Horizon home base. That's a new home base created by Lazarus Rising Games. It costs one threat, and it allows you to draw a replacement card for any number of events that you draw before the battle. Phil has used that to very good effect today. There we go. Again, Keffer's Phil the King Keffer somehow has gotten to the finals with some of the worst luck I've ever seen him have on film. Two dupes again. And he has just started every match out with dupes that we've watched today. Variance has not been on his side. But we've also seen him, I think, come back and win every one of those matches, which is a testament to the player that he is.
I think that duplication might be a feature of the way his build currently is. Certainly, he gets a lot of upside from having a one Deguar Mountain run, I'm sure, multiple pairs or triples, and obviously some pairs and triples from Holocaust, Inhumans, and Silver Sable in Reserve. So it could be bad variance in luck. It just might be a feature of making sure that you have your best cards, your best activators available at all points.
Yeah. And we're sort of seeing Phil, Phil's been Phil the King Keffer has a lot of low cards placed. Cards that are off suit, they're definitely help to but we've seen this a couple of times in a row too, and kind of very similar cards. He's got the Magnetic Devastation on Magneto. That's a 4 multi that makes an additional attack. He's got, I think it's called Horrendous Visage on Holocaust, just a 4. To some 8s and 7s and completed teamworks, and an 11 and a negate on Phil Miller's side. So Phil Miller definitely starting off this match with a pretty significant advantage. Managed to place 2 more cards than Phil, have a lot more venture on the board. Phil had 2 dupes, and Phil has only ventured 1, Phil Keffer. So Phil Miller is we'll see if he's gonna capitalize here. He's put 2 out there. He's still touching the mission, maybe thinking about betting third. And this is where the fear comes in. Even 1 card back to a player as good as Keffer, that can take this huge advantage that he has and turn it the other way.
Looks like they are fighting, and I think that the king's gonna go with spontaneous combustion to opponent discard. Oh, either way, it's being negated.
It looked
So,
like Phil the Strangler Miller like motioned toward the 11. So it looked like Keffer tried to get the 11, gave him the option. The Strangler chose to negate it with the negate.
and that makes sense. That 11 just has so much tactical value, whether it's the venture on the battle site or just as 11 points of green damage there. Uh, the Strangler, Phil Miller, fires back with a target can't play specials on Magneto. If I'm Keffer, if I'm the king, I think I let that hit and I concede. What do you think, Joe?
I think you have to kill. He's got one card in hand. Almost certainly it's an activator because I think we saw it was a Quicksilver activator.
Yeah.
So Miller knows if that hits, there's only one card left that can defend Magneto. Remember what we said is uh it's not so much that you can't play the specials, it's that you can't play the defensive specials to keep your guy alive. And Phil's representing a full teamwork string right on the board. He's just gonna go, 6, 5, 8. One of them will get blocked, and he's just gonna pile on to. Keffer doesn't want to go into this second hand with 11 points of damage on and loses a void off Sable when he doesn't have. So
So it
Keffer is
looks like
duplication like continues to bite him. He draws two events there. He opts for no strength power cards may be played, and he sets it directly over the 8.
oh, he gets the 7 as well. So this is gonna be a nice little swing in terms of that event's value. At least 15 venture. He's locked down.
Now, Miller did get discard all teamworks, no teamworks. A lot more people are playing that event with different event sets, which didn't used to be a staple, but it's almost become a staple in most decks these days.
I'm gonna take a bow for that.
Yeah, you definitely were the first one to be playing it a lot. So Miller's not able to place quite as much, and he has two dead placed cards. He's definitely reading his body language. Miller looks like he wants to run here. Now, I know Miller's play style from years of play. He wants to be filling those placing slots up, so he must have a handful of activators. His MO is to just always play cards for hand and try to just stay ahead of you.
I agree. Going back to the teamwork clear event, I think part of what's happened there is that as people are starting to use the Lazarus Rising Games home bases more and using particularly more of the trainings and the basic universe cards with power cards for defense, you want to keep more of your power cards available for defense rather than teamwork follow ups. So I think the next logical step is that you add more allies. And then as you start to rely less on teamworks, it's nice to have that anti teamwork clear as like a hedge against opponents who are going to lean more towards defensive shell and traditional teamworking. So I think that's also a large part of the popularity is people are using more aggressive characters, more diverse characters, and relying on power cards for defense more, much like the game was after the first set or two.
Phil puts one mission to the side. He looks like he might want to go more. Um, Keffer managed to definitely get some great cards placed there. It looks like he's got a royal family. He's still got that 4 multi, the ally, and the 4 intellect, but he's managed to put an 8 multi down on his home base, the Black Bolt, to charge up the Inhumans even more. He threw some big power cards down, so he's already feeling like he's in a much better position. I don't know how the Strangler can really be considering betting in more when his 8 and his 7 is tied up. And this is just a testament to the respect that these two players have for each other. Phil Keffer is in a great position right here, and he's has the discipline to only go 2 and try to take the layup. And this is why. Phil Miller responds right back with Juggernaut's raise, and it doesn't look like Keffer has anything to deal with it. So this is most likely, looks like it's going through, and it's going to take 3 of those basic universe cards away and an ally card. And that is devastating. He lost the teamworks. There's no teamworks. He got rid of all those placed cards. And like we said, that is 3 threat value that Phil Keffer has built his deck to do. Give him extra defense, and that Juggernaut is just stormed through, wrecked the buildings, and left Keffer with none of the advantages he spent those 3 deck building.
So Kefir targets looks like Heroes for Hire with that 4 strength from Inhumans. It must be defended or else you have to discard all place cards. Luckily, Miller had a good solution for that with a 6 any power card, it looks like, from hand.
But I do like that play.
Yeah.
Miller can't use the 8 to defend himself, and May had the 5's already on Beast. It could have ended up a situation where he had to use a battle site. And you love that. I mean, if that 4 can eat up one of your battle site defenses, you're pretty happy.
Yeah.
Miller's he's going to throw a few pokes and slug it out a little bit here. So
Now he's using a JW deck with Heroes for Hire. So to get a intellect 1 hit on, I believe, who's in the middle of this deck?
Magneto, 3-stat Magneto.
You do have to like that because now those JWs, you really have to defend those 3 fightings, the initial attack. And if you follow up with the 8, the only thing that can defend him now is an 8 power card because he successfully cleared out all of those basic universe cards. So that raise, I think, is going to be a potential victory condition here for the Strangler moving forward.
So Keffer plays the last card in his hand. I think he's going to try to DZ.
Yeah. I think if I am Miller, I'm willing to let that hit and then run here. But we'll see how far he presses his advantage.
I'm not sure he even needs to run. I think he might be able to throw something from hand or an activator attack and just use up a little more of Keffer's placing advantage.
That's a good point. So he does. He throws out that 4 energy, make 1 additional energy attack. We don't know from who. I'm going to assume he doesn't have the follow up, but it's a different color than the 1 intellect power card. So it's going to be very difficult for Phil to for the king to let that hit. He's going to have
Now
to
he's
let
going to
him use that 7 energy or that 9 or less.
I agree. I think this is a must block. And he doesn't. The other thing, Miller, the Strangler is in a good position is he knows that Keffer can't chain it. So all he's got to deal with is his 1 best attack at a time. So he can say to himself, "All right, if I can block an 8 multi, there's nothing he's going to throw that I even have to take a hit. I can keep poking with these other cards." And
Here comes another must block. It's that magnetic devastation, that 4 multi power attack. Make additional attack from Magneto onto Heroes for Hire, who can't use that 8 strength power card to defend themselves. So we'll see what the Strangler decides to do about that. And it looks like we'll use the Avoid from Holocaust in the battle site.
and then he's going to run. I think that's perfect. He used 2 cards from his hand. He got Keffer to commit to getting rid of both cards on Magneto, leaving him 6 placed cards to the Strangler's 5. Or 6. Strangler's got the 11, so he managed to neutralize the placing advantage. He only gave up 2 missions from that. He got a little bit of damage on Magneto. He came out of that looking pretty good.
Yeah.
And again,
Phil's
Keffer's
duplication.
dupes are going to continue. So
Yeah.
Miller gets a 7, Keffer gets an 8, and a Silver Sable Avoid from rear. Now he does have some good cards. Keffer's got the 7 in his hand. He's got a Scarlet Witch activator, which he loves to see at this point. I think he's got his Colossus, and again, and the 11. So Keffer definitely drew some heat to get him back in this game. Looks like he's got a 5 energy power card. He's not realizing it's a duplicate of the 5 multi on Holocaust.
Yeah, I think he'll get there shortly as he's placing. Yep, there it is.
There it is. So 3 duplicates. The king is, man, he has played a great day for some of the worst luck I've seen in any event. I don't think he's played a hand with all 8 cards yet.
Now, duplicating on a power card is obviously bad, but I think it's particularly bad to duplicate on those 9 or lesses from reserve. Typically, you're only building 3 of those into your deck, so you're losing one of your 3 opportunities to do it, and now you could have the chance that you use this 9 or less, and the 3rd is buried at the bottom of your deck, and you're not gonna see it for a number of battles, or you have the chance that you hold on to it too long and you duplicate with the 3rd, and you've only gotten to use 1 for the whole game. So you hate to see that, and I think that's a tough place that uh, the king is in right now.
So Phil Miller looks like he's only going to go two here. You know, I think I disagree with that play. So Kefir tries to do his big swing, the discard three. The Strangler keeps his negate in hand and shuts that down. That is got to hurt pretty bad if you're Kefir. That was a big move he was hoping going to get him.
Yeah, these decks usually have only so many victory conditions, special victory conditions built in. Certainly, the avoid and draw from Wonderground Mountain is one, the DZ from Nightcrawler is another, and the discard three is another as well. And Phil's used up two. He's starting to already run out of steam, I think, for some of the special conditions, at least from his battle site.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what's in Miller's hand, but with the placing advantage, with the 11 he can throw on the site, the cards he's already seen go by, knowing the teamwork cards don't work, he's got a Stars and Garters to get out, a seven, an eight, a black, a white tiger. Just really looks like he's got the hand here to
Now,
win the
we've talked
venture, or
about,
at least bet big enough that Kefir will stay in and he'll shred his team.
so I want to get your opinion on this one, Joe. It looks like what's happened here. He threw the Magneto 11 at Heroes for Hire before Stars and Garters went out,
Yeah, and Phil
or
Miller
no,
went
no.
first, and he chose to play the teamwork string, which I gotta say I kind of disagree with. I'm pretty big supporter of just first play. If you've got Stars and Garters, you get it out. Now,
Always.
Kefir would have negated it. He would have thrown the 11, but that also leaves him with one card in hand. Yeah, it's definitely something that would have been nice to have had out there before the 11 was thrown. But look, none of the cards on the table can defend that battle site. Now, there's one card in hand that can defend the battle site. So Miller knows. I know he's not going to like to do it because he wants to get the kill, but throwing that 11 on the site right now, it's most likely not going to be blockable. And I wouldn't throw it this turn, but I'm just saying this battle.
Yeah, this battle is likely in the books for the Strangler, and he did a good job here of at least painting Magneto up. Magneto might also be one of these characters like a Starjammers, in as much as by the time that you KO them, a lot of times they've already done their damage, and you're not too worried about it. So both players are playing a fairly good game. I think that duplication so far for the king is just he's not able to overcome it yet.
And I think if I'm Miller here, I don't know what he's thinking about. I'm firing off that energy aspect, and I'm following it up with an eight. He hasn't got to throw one of those eights yet. He wants to do it off of JW, but look at the board. There's a
Right.
nine or less avoid. That's it. So you might make him have to use that nine or less avoid on a four to keep Magneto alive. And if he chooses to let it hit because he wants to save it for a bigger hit, you can just pass. You don't have to make the follow up, and then you start throwing like the headbutts and the other cards.
I feel like the king here is staying and he's trying to figure out a Are we
Wait,
still recording?
I don't know what's going on. We got a little bit of technical difficulty there, waiting for Ronald to pop up.
Yeah, it seems like somebody quit the stage, but I stopped the video.
Do you want us to just rewind it a second and we'll splice it together after, or
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. But
okay.
please don't quit the stage, whoever.
That wasn't me, or maybe
Yeah,
it was
I
someone
didn't
else invited to the stage.
No, just us. Okay.
Yeah, rewind it a second. We'll just I'll address that there was a glitch and say, "Hey guys, you'll notice we just jumped back a second. Had a glitch. We're
Yeah,
gonna keep going from."
this is already rewinded.
Okay, go ahead and hit it. Okay, everybody. Sorry about that. You'll notice the video probably skipped a little bit there. We had a little bit of technical difficulty, but we rewound it, and we are still back at this decision. So, as we were saying, there's some figuring going on. It must be Keffer's turn, and he's trying to decide if he's going to see. I was saying if I'm Miller, I'm firing that energy off, and then then the 8 power card. And it looks like Keffer is going to concede, and I agree with this. I don't think he has any other move.
Yeah. I mean, I understand why the best players are looking to figure out if there's any edge strategically they can gain before they leave, but I think that one was pretty clear. He needed to depart that battle.
Now, the good thing about this match, there's no time limit when we do our finals. We do an untimed finals. So the players are free to take as much time as they want to figure it out. This isn't going to be decided by the clock. There has to be a winner. Someone will finish their missions or kill the other people on the team, or someone will lose their mission. So we've got two events. So Phil the King Keffer, he has no universe cards may be played.
No
Doesn't
teamwork.
immediately. Oh, it's no teamwork.
Yeah,
Oh, no teamworks. I didn't know that. I always thought that was no universe. So no teamwork cards can be played. So then any allies or anything else that pops up is still played. And then Phil Miller has the I forget the name of it, but
to
it
save
is
the world.
to save the world. Whenever somebody draws a number of cards, the other person draws an equal number of cards, and the same with discarding. Um, this would have been a great one for him to have before the Colossus discard 3 was used because it wards against it, but it's still if I can't read Keffer's hand quite well enough, but it does ward him against that Colossus teammate avoid and draw. Now the bad part about it is if his white tiger hits, it actually his own event would ding him.
That's true. And I did see he just duplicated on that white tiger. I'm seeing more and more that the Heroes for Hire players that might be more successful than me seem to play two of those. So that's a good note for my own play notes.
It
But I
is.
guess it's a little surprising with that event in your deck because, again, it does work against those two cards aren't compatible.
Yeah, and I think this probably is a little bit of Miller just wanting to push the limits of the event horizon and just putting every event in that he can, thinking, well, if I draw it at the wrong time with another one, I just won't choose it and I get to replace it. But this is it's tough seeing it come up like this in the final when it's one of your placed cards, and it could really hurt you as much as it could hurt the other person. So Keffer is sitting on another pin. I have to say, the more I watch Keffer play this deck, the more I realize how many different interesting things he has going. He has multiple ways to pin with non-numerical attacks from the Inhumans, from Magneto, from the D off Nightcrawler. That's like a big part of what he's doing here. He's got the basic universe cards that were stripped off the home base to throw so many of his big attacks over the top. He's got teamworks that he can follow up with energy from Silver Sable. I really like what he's done with the way he's put this deck together. It's a very methodical construction of how many different victory conditions I have for the game and for just a battle. So
Now, I'd love to get your opinion. He didn't place the Magneto paralyzed opponent that pin. I don't know if I agree with that decision ever. I'm not sure how much more element of surprise you get from it coming out of hand.
I think it's less this battle about the element of surprise. I think it's to do exactly what he did. I think he didn't place it to hope that the Strangler would opt to attack somebody different that's a more interesting target. The 11's already gone by, so Magneto's become less of a threat. He
Okay,
doesn't want him to throw a string at Magneto, possibly kill him, and then he loses the pin.
interesting.
Although he better have. Oh, yeah, this is rough. Oh,
Oh,
wow.
yeah.
Wow. So No, Miller knew exactly what he was doing with that attack. He knew that because the basic universes were gone and the 8 was already placed to the Inhumans, that his 8 follow-up to the JW was an automatic kill. It cannot be defended with any of those special cards. There's nothing left in Kefir's deck that could block it. So he said, I'm not going to waste a single other attack. I'm going to throw him on the Inhumans and I'm going to rack up that 8 venture, get the kill, and he doesn't even know it, eliminate the paralyzed opponent that would have devastated Juggernaut. So that is a brutal turn of events for the King.
Yeah, really, that raise in hand, what, two?
One, wasn't it?
One,
Yeah, I
hand
think it was
one.
hand one.
That was such a good victory condition. I mean, these home bases and what they provide for offense and defense, it's just a lot. And you can see the King utilizes every point he gets out of these home bases when he utilizes them. That great play by Phil to play that from hand and strip out those basics, and that really made his JW bullying a lot more effective in this mid game.
What a match between two just absolute matches. Kefir's looking to actually fight damage.
Now, so I don't know if I agree with this decision. This might, to me, be just a tiny bit of tilt. Before he threw that ally, Phil had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 placed. To Miller's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I believe, maybe 7. I think
He
he had
got
a
7.
little. I think he had a little bit of a placement advantage there that I might have been willing to, if I was, not tired and being very conservative, run there. You've seen some of Magneto's best stuff, the pin and the 11. Maybe see if you can just carry that advantage forward. But we'll see how this goes. He's going to try to press the action, maybe clear the board, maybe score a KO of his own, and even the playing field. But
We'll see what he has up his sleeve. He shoots right off Holocaust 8 multi. That is a premier attack. But he does it and he draws the 9 or less avoid. Could have thrown the 4 off Holocaust or tried to get him to use some of the defense, but he he has another 8 multi placed on the home base that goes for the Inhumans, so
now, if I'm the king, I'm going to use this 9 or less right now because when Silver Sable comes up, they're going to try to work around it. So I will try to realize the value of this battle, save any defenses for activators for later, but we'll see what he chooses to do. But he can't let that hit. Do you agree?
yeah, he can't put, especially where he wants to have the royal family have value and he needs to also play the 8 multi. And that may be a reason why, even in the position where he's in, he may have wanted to just use up that 8 multi. So no shenanigans happen. He doesn't risk getting it stranded on the battle site placement slot like we've talked about in other matches. And he'd still be representing another 8 multi in hand, which would be pretty hard for heroes to block it.
So he's still thinking. He looked like he reached for the 8 energy to try to defend this, and then he thought better of it. I really think this is a good time for that Silver Sable 9 or less.
I agree, and he's probably counting on the 8 to follow up the Sable teamwork. He's probably looking to go 5 strength from, he's got the 6, then he can play the 5 as a strength through Holocaust strength grid of 6, and then throw the big energy attack. He's probably looking to fire off some big string and really bring the punishment.
The challenge is it depends on Phil Miller himself has a teamwork string right there with his Silver Sable, Beast, and Juggernaut. So he's probably trying to do some calculation on how he can fire off this next string, but also not lose Inhumans. And I'm not sure what his final card is, if it's an activator defense that's viable or not. I would definitely use the 9 or less regardless of his next decision. And then play from there. Because I just hate stranding those teammate 9 or lesses from reserve when they come up. It's just the worst feeling.
And this is the good thing about this. There's no rush for either player. There's no clock behind. They can really take their time and make sure that they're making optimal plays. So Miller's got his 2 cards remaining in his hand down on the table. He's looking at the battlefield. I think we're waiting on Keffer to still decide if he's defending this. Is that most
Yeah, I
likely
believe that's where
are?
we're at. For these big decisions, I think the king is notorious for, really measuring twice and cutting once, which I think is really smart. But for people who played me, I like to speak about my strategy out loud, which sometimes can give information to my opponent, but I'm just really trying to hear my own logic and make sure that I'm not about to make a mistake. I think the better players like the king are able to do that same process just internally to their own head. So I think he's really just trying to figure out, you know, what his best play is. Can he defend this and fire off a counter string, or will that be a mistake? And regardless of whether he can fire the counter, what is the best defense? I think, again, being a commentator, watching this overhead, and not being exhausted from 9 matches of prior overpower over, a 12-hour day, I think it has to be that Sable card. Maybe it's that if he doesn't have a defense in those 3 cards, he's worried about the White Tiger going at Holocaust. But it
But
looks
he
like
does it.
he does the 9 or less there. Now he'll have to decide if he's going to fire off a counter string and what that is, or if it's time to run. But I
Now,
definitely
Dave,
think the 9 or less is the right play. Go ahead.
I know from a previous tournament ruling, throwing the White Tiger on the battle site does not trigger the disc.
That's correct.
Remind me again, if the White Tiger goes against a character that doesn't have any placed cards, is that the same as the what we talked about earlier with finite power? Is it only cards placed to the character it hits that need to be discarded?
It's either cards placed to the targeted character or any card in your hand. And it
Okay.
has to hit a character. It cannot, you can attack a battle site, you won't get that secondary effect. So it looks like Phil used a Nightcrawler activator to throw that tactical teleport, a 6 intellect attack. If it's successful, you have to discard an artifact or tactic card. Secondary effects not so important. It's just 6 points of blue, if you will, damage. We'll see what Miller does with that. I'm thinking that Phil must feel confident that he has defense in his hand for this White Tiger that's about to come out. Now, super interesting that he still went there. Oh,
Well,
sorry.
I think
He had the royal family the whole time. I'm sorry, I didn't
he
read
had the
that.
royal family, but it's still it's still a scary thing because Keffer could have let it hit and just if he had 2 bad cards in hand, he could have got rid of them to get 2 premier cards for Phil. But yeah, I don't know. I'm also surprised we're not seeing him throw the teamwork. The teamwork would be for the kill, and then he'd be able to throw that follow up at higher level.
My thought is that he must be um, really playing for the next battle. He might have already decided that he can't win this one in terms of the venture. He's just looking for strategically setting himself up better for the next battles. That would be my thought, is that perhaps he only has one of those teamworks, maybe 2 from Sable. Oh, very interesting. Miller actually concedes.
Wow, I'm surprised about that. With
He
the
must have
amount of
really exhausted his defense.
maybe, but I mean, he still has a full teamwork string, and he had cards in hand. Now he doesn't have the avoid anymore on Holocaust, but I kind of feel Hold on. I feel like if he had fired that off, he could have put the pressure on Keffer to maybe make him concede on his next turn. But, you know,
Oh, there was no teamwork that battle.
oh, that's what it was. Okay. That's why they both didn't. So, both of them are better at tracking the events than we are. That event card that was in the middle of the table the entire time was in play, folks.
Right.
That makes sense why they didn't do it. Okay, so I think I agree at that point. Miller can go into his next battle. He still hasn't lost a frontline character. He's probably going to win an attrition with the amount of cards total in hand. It's a little suboptimal to not get to go first, but he's just hoping at this point he'll get enough cards to make it worth it. He's still got that Juggernaut 11, which is the longer the game goes, the better that card gets, because the more cards that you use to defend your characters, the weaker your battle site is to defend itself from an 11, and it makes it far more likely that it's going to go through. Now, Miller is in a happy position because he has drawn one of his post activators, just like the Reavers. That's going to allow him to lock out Heroes for Hire and keep Heroes from Hire alive one more battle. It's going to let him be a little more aggressive. He's got a 6 fighting, the 5 Hulk card that he can do a little chaining with. I didn't see if he drew another JW or not. Keffer's got a couple of low multis, a 3 and a 4. He's going to be able to follow up that teamwork for sure. Looks like he's got an Omega Red activator, so we're going to probably see that 7 coming out some. But again, I like Keffer's position. I think, or some Miller's position. I think Miller's got to negate.
I think one thing that's good about Phil's choice to retreat is that he has kept Heroes for Hire alive as like almost busy work for the king to have to go through, right? Sometimes just, okay, for me to get to the win, I have to get Heroes for Hire. They're not dead yet, but there's a power card there. There's activators. You said there might be a negate. There might be a lockout. So he can just kind of string Phil along. And I don't think Phil strategically is going to or really can go away from Heroes for Hire either. So it's kind of it's like a piece of bait on a fishing hook. Like the attacks are going to go there, and you're likely to be able to deal with a good deal of them going forward. So I think that was a good play.
And Keffer just goes 1, and he's done again what we've seen him do in so many matches. Despite having really, really bad luck with the duplicates, he's played his way out of this, and he does exactly what I said. He's going to start to try to put that teamwork string pressure on Heroes for Hire, and I think you're going to see the lockout first play. That's exactly what I expected, what I would have done.
So no, now I want to get your opinion. I think I would have defended with the 8 or with something first before doing the lockout, just to exhaust the amount of things that could go on your other heroes. I feel like sometimes
Maybe,
when you have a lockout, it's great to throw it at the last possible minute so the opponents exhausted themselves and your other heroes are really under no threat.
I totally agree. That's normally my move, is to take the 2, to like take as many hits as possible, lock him out at the last second. But he sees the 4 multi placed. That's a kill shot, and so he knows he's going to be making 2 suboptimal blocks venture wise. If he
But if you look at what happened to Juggernaut, because he made that play, it looks like Juggernaut has gotten painted with a 4 multi and a 6.
Which puts him in a very awkward position.
Yeah, it's not. These are the best players that are better than me. I just my play style. Okay, let me pause for a minute. The
He's
Wrecking the
gonna
Mansion
use
11.
the 11 on the character, so it's not going to count to venture because it's not against the site, but it is going to put some serious KO pressure on.
And if it does hit, it will clear obviously the 8 energy. So that's kind of the venture gain of when you use that card this way. It's taking out the hero and the cards placed to them.
Is this for the kill?
I think it is. And it looks like maybe
The
it's not.
Colossus avoid, teammate avoid, and draw
No,
is what he.
it was for the kill Spectrum. He has, I think, a fighting JW that was no, maybe not. I'm sorry.
He's definitely got a JW on that character. I can't tell what the other card is with the Doctor Doom placed.
I feel like there's one card under that Doctor Doom. Maybe not. Either way, he definitely didn't want to take that 11. So it does draw a premier defense.
And it's nice to use up that defense for a card that didn't count to venture, which is one of the beauties of that card too. Like, you have to block it. So Miller's sitting on 4 cards, and Keffer's trying to decide if he's going to take a crack at it. So he's going to throw the 8 multi, try to see if he can get the kill over the top, but
He has
Miller's got a second type of lockout. Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
having that second lockout, that's why I really think he should have been a little slower to lock out Heroes for Hire the first time. That's a personal opinion. I think he's still in a great position because he locked him Juggernaut out again. But if this goes past this battle, you're talking about 2 heroes that are both severely damaged. And they're both his 8s.
And the Doom stops energy attack, but it doesn't stop multi-power power cards. Surprised he's throwing them at Holocaust. I would be making him try to use that 8 to get rid of a 4.
I agree.
Maybe he thinks it's energy icon and that he can't actually.
Right.
Or the second attack is going to be +2. So maybe his plan is just to throw the 7 or the 8 over the top and just hopefully kill the 8 and not let him use it at all.
That's probably what it is. Yep. It's the same kind of play you made with that JW follow up and then the 8 on Magneto. Just why, if you have to play the lower attack first and you're going to play the second attack to come over the top, I can see why you would do this.
But it looks like he didn't throw it. It looks like he's passing, which I know he likes to keep those cards, but I think he's got to get a little more liberal with this 8 here. It's definitely going to do.
Yeah. Yes. But it is a JW deck, and we know the victory condition value of following up a JW with that 8 when it's basically non-competitive at this point. It's an auto hit against 7 rank or lower characters. It looks like Keffer the King concedes this one. Phil takes his win.
Throw the 2 post concession.
Oof.
If that is for the Spectrum, which I'm not sure, it's most likely going to draw either, unless his card in his hand is a defense, it's going to draw that 8, which Keffer's going to hate to see that go. So, Dave, you and I both remember you used to not be able to play an activator post concession. The special says it can be played, but there was no timing to let you play an activator. That's been changed. Is that a new ruling from the NAOL?
Yes, the NAOL leadership went with that ruling. And I forget, I'm not sure if the new rule book has a timing for that yet. We should go look at that because
I don't think it addresses it because it's not focused. I don't think we addressed anything in the new rule book or very much to do with battle.
Right, because we're not currently making battle sites or replacement just yet. So far, just any heroes. So yeah, that is a new ruling. I think it's very creative. So I don't hate the diversity it's bringing to how you play the game. I don't love that there's not a mechanical logic to why you can throw an activator out of turn.
Right. Yeah.
But
I agree. It's a little. I don't. It bothers me more on the. There's not a reason you can explain as to why you can play the activator. It's a weird transitive property. Like, well, the special says it can be played, so that lets me play the other thing, which is not exactly how I would have ruled it. But I mean, I'm playing under the same rule, and I did use Wolverine's Rage card off my Outback site to great effect this tournament. I definitely got some kills with it. I surprised a lot of people. So
yeah. So it looks like we're having a long decision on whether to block that 2 intellect. You know, I don't think he can let that hit. So I think some of this is just the grieving process. I think we're somewhere getting close to bargaining and acceptance, right? Like a great play by the Strangler. You're going to have to spend. Oh, he doesn't spend it. So I guess we couldn't see. There wasn't a card under there. He chooses to take the 2 and keep the 8. And I'm not sure I love that play.
Well, they're gonna keep going. You know, Keffer was doing what he did the last time. He had slowly started to work his way back into the game. He had none in the defeated, but again, against a player as good as Phil Miller, he ended up losing it. That's interesting to me. So, Dave, he is playing 2 headbutts off Juggernaut.
Oh,
Interesting. Keffer's got 2 negates off Holocaust, meaning he drew all 3, and he got a
oh
Magneto card. Phil Miller has 2 missions, 2 events. He gets to replace both of them and draws another 7. So a lot of discards and duplicates.
it
For
looks
some
like
reason, I'm not sure why he's discarding both of those activators. Oh, it's because he doesn't have any defensive cards left on either of those activators.
right with this event.
Oh,
Phil is at Phil. The Strangler, yeah, is at 3-4. He bets 4 for the win. The King takes 2. Looks like they might be keepers. It looks like one of his cards is a Silver Sable 9 or less avoid.
and he
As
drew
long as
another 4 multi, which he can't defend. So
now Strangler makes a small, I think, misplay there for a game point going after Holocaust. If that 9 or less is there, I think you just have to automatically use that 9 or less, right?
yeah, I think at this point, I mean, Keffer did go down to 2 cards in his hand, and Phil only had 2 discards. So it's 6-4, and Phil has a significant placing advantage with a 9 and an 11, and 8, a 7, and a 7. So I think he's not super worried about it here. But I agree. If you're talking just the mathematics of it all, he should be mindlessly throwing all his cards as Silver Sable till she's dead, and then go for the other characters. He does not care about killing a character. All he cares about is just racking up the venture.
In fact, sometimes game point killing a character needlessly allows your opponent to back into a lockout, like a backup victory condition. Sometimes you really want to avoid that and just venture sink as far as you can. Um, yeah, I'm a bit surprised that the king here hasn't 9 or less avoided this 5 yet.
Exactly like we talked about in the last game. I think if you've got a chance, you use it.
Interesting. So he used the 7.
Well, he can't attack with the 7.
Oh, this is again should have used. Okay, he has the 4, and the 8's gonna go to.
I think now he's committed. I would just throw it on Holocaust. He can't fire back with that 8.
I agree.
Just rack up the venture, and that's it. He's just gonna.
Yeah, he just
That is the handshake, and what a match, man! So Phil Miller, 4-time champion of Valhalla. No one has ever taken the victory home from this tournament except for Phil Miller. Congratulations to a great game played. Keffer didn't get the championship, but he got second place. I'd have to look at the math, but I think that secures Player of the Year for Phil Keffer.
I'm fairly sure it does.
With
And,
2 tournament victories and a second place, that's a significant amount of points. I don't think there's anyone that can catch him at 1 tournament that's left. So
now, I do know there's a prize for second place. So for everyone watching, I think a lot of us are still alive for that prize. Certainly, we hope to see you out in Boston. But yeah, it does look like the King has cruised to the 2024 NAOL Player of the Year award. Congratulations to him.
and well deserved. He really is one of the best in the game, if not the best of all time. Great to watch. Great co-commentator when he's on.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was fantastic. All right, thank you very much, guys.
Congratulations to Miller for, I'm not sure what it is about Valhalla, but 4 in a row. He truly is the master of this event. Maybe it's a self-fulfilling prophecy or just the way his head's working or what decks he's bringing, but keep it up, man. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
for sure. He went undefeated at one of them too. One that won all his rounds of the Swiss and the playoff. So Yeah, well, guys, thank you for being with us for all 7 rounds. That was really a fantastic final. It was great to watch it against two of the best players in the game. We've got so much stuff coming up that we're going to plug at the end of this tournament. All the new Overpower card game Kickstarter starting up October 15th, going through till November 13th. There's going to be some early bird specials. Definitely log on and buy the first day. The more people that, if we hit a certain threshold on the first day, it'll go viral, and then Kickstarter actually promotes it to their full wider audience. So, get in there, buy in early, support the new game. We've been playtesting the new Top Cow set. We had a big summit this weekend, and I just have to say, I'm excited about the ERB set. But like any set, there's a limited amount of characters when there's only one. As soon as we added that second set in, every single person there agreed it was the funnest Overpower we've played probably ever, and there was more deck building choices, more characters, more diversity, and more meat to those games than I feel like in all of the old environment combined. So we just are so excited to bring you guys Overpower that makes us excited as it did when we were kids. So get in there, support that first Kickstarter, get ready for Top Cow to be coming out next summer, and we've got if you're going to be at New York Comic Con, we're going to be appearing at New York Comic Con coming up in the middle of October. We have a Witchblade exclusive hero card that is only going to be given out as a promo at Comic Con. It will not be sold. It won't be on the Orange King. There won't be any alternate versions. It is a non-foil hero card for Witchblade that you can only get if you come to our booth and show us that you've pledged the Kickstarter, and then you can get one of these promos. They're going to, as we've seen, the 5 multis from the power card packs are already selling for over $100. These Witchblade Comic-Con exclusives are going to skyrocket because you're never going to be able to get that image with it again. So a lot of stuff coming up. Check out our Q&A that we're doing on Tuesday night. We're going to be talking about our playtest process and how we've been designing and playtesting the sets. And we're going to go through all the different play modes that we have. So we're going to talk about draft. We're going to talk about sealed deck. We're going to talk about our different constructed formats. We're bringing in our head of our New Hampshire playtest group and good friend Al Spader, who writes for the Star Trek role-playing game, is one of our playtesters. He's going to come on and tell us, he's been primarily our main tester for our skirmish mode. He's going to come on and talk about that experience. His play group loves it. So a lot of big stuff going on in Overpower, guys. We can't wait to bring you more. So we'll see you at the Q&A. We'll see you hopefully at Boston on November 9th. Thanks for sticking with us through this tournament. Dave, thanks for being with me today.
Hey, it's been my pleasure. This is my first time commentating on an entire tournament, but a lot of great matches. I'm so excited for the future of the game, and I hope you all keep playing, keep collecting, keep watching, and when you're playing, venture well.
Venture well. Thanks very much, everybody.